Welcome back, guys, to the African Male Iris, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our content and watching our content. And we're still going ahead with the four-part or five-part series with our special guest Oscar, and we just encourage you guys to tune in and also check the episodes that prior to this. We hope that you're enjoying them, and we hope that you enjoy this one. All right, enjoy, guys. Thank you.
Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man, yeah.
So when people say that being divorced is hard, what do they mean?
You form a life around a person, and you underestimate. I definitely underestimated how much a part of my world she was.
Okay.
You know, the routine that you become accustomed to. You know, going to work and coming back, and there's a certain routine you have for when the kids wake up, when the kids go to bed, when the kids take a shower, when they, doing homework, who does homework, who picks up the kids, etc.
Right.
And I felt uprooted from that, right? But also I imagine she felt like exposed because there was a huge amount of things that I would do, that she didn't have to, like school run, for instance. So now she has to manage that. And now I finish work and I'm going home to what? And I had a culture of reading to my kids before they slept.
Yeah, so that must have been tough, bro.
Yeah.
On them particularly,
Yeah.
and
Imagine.
so now they feel like, where's dad?
Who is that now? Yeah.
Right? So for a long time we sort of played this whole, no, I'll come see you guys, I've got work to do, blah blah blah. And then when they were older, and the thing is, society beat us to it. Before we actually told our children what was happening, my daughter said to me, Daddy, are you and mom divorced?
Wow.
And
She's how
she
old
was
is
6
it?
at the time, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. No, she was 7. I'm like, why would you say that? She's like, yeah, because my friend was telling me her parents are divorced and they don't live together, and her dad comes once in a while. And I was like, that's what my dad does.
Wow.
And, I figured, yeah, you guys, are you divorced?
Sure.
And that's the first conversation I had with her. And I wish I had done it differently. I wish I had been ahead of the conversation,
Yeah.
And that's what taught me to not baby my children. And what Prayer was talking about earlier, I have very adult conversations with them.
Yeah.
I just talk to them as people,
Yeah.
not as kids, right? So, I mean, obviously, I'll sort of try and age appropriate it, but I will have the conversation with them. So that's the first time I said to her, actually, yes. I didn't know how to say it to you.
Yeah.
But that's the story. My son was way too young at the time to know what that was or whatever. He was just a toddler. So when he sort of came of age, 6, 7, 8, I then had a chat with him to say, hey, listen, do you understand what this whole thing is? It was easy for him to take on because he had grown up in that space, right? But I would absolutely not recommend divorce. Absolutely not recommended. It is painful. It is expensive. Like the steps back that you take, the things that you forfeit. The potential that you kill is huge. And starting over at 32, right, was fortunate. Imagine. There's people who start over at 50, and I mean, I had time to recover and, rediscover myself and redefine myself. When you're young, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely say to someone, like if they were on the verge of divorce, I would get on the back of that marriage and say, listen, let's have chats, let's talk, because it's really the unexpected needs, or rather unexpressed needs that are unmet, right? that ruin relationships. You know, because like Preya was saying, she feels like a husband should be this, but he's being that, but she doesn't quite articulate it properly. And maybe she does try to express it, but he feels attacked, so he doesn't absorb the information, and he's defensive, and then he fights back with, you know, but you're shit too, you know, and that kind of thing. And then the cycle continues. They continue to be in this space where they are more and more, with each day that passes, they feel less and less served within the relationship. And it's unhealthy, unfortunate that we are in this social media space now. I mean, social media takes up a huge chunk of our lives, you know, and everybody in the world underestimates how much influence social media has on them. We all underestimate it.
True.
But our value systems are being shaped on a daily basis, you know, and that kind of thing. And we live in a society that says, if you're no longer being served, leave the table, you know. And it's like a me-centered sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we're no longer in it to serve. We're no longer in it for the long game, right? But actually, I think that every relationship, any marriage, anywhere, can be healed. Can be healed with the right guidance, with the right heart posture, you know, and should be healed. I think that the divorce is this illusion of escape. I mean, of course, there's different circumstances. There's some circumstances where someone's life is at is at stake. Well, yeah, definitely. That's, you know, that's, you should leave if someone's trying to kill you, you know. But if someone annoys you a lot, or doesn't celebrate you enough, or doesn't acknowledge who you are, or doesn't like your family, those things can be fixed.
And they should.
They should be fixed.
Yeah.
Question. With everything that's happened, sort of present and forward looking, what's the difference between, I like what you said, lots of people think divorce is an escape, right? But you can't really get rid of your ex-wife, especially because you've got kids. So what's the difference between being married and co-parenting? Of course, there's the obvious things, you're not living together, etc. But like,
so I'll say to you, what changes is the stakes, right? So, you know, Karen and I, my ex-wife's name is Karen. Karen and I are get along much more now than we did then. It's almost like we sort of circled back to that friendship we had before we got married, you know?
Because the stakes have changed.
The stakes have changed. It's a low stakes game now. You know, my bad decisions don't affect her.
Affect her directly.
And her nonsense doesn't affect me anymore, right? So now we can live with each other. You know, there's no feeling of you are making me look bad or you are slowing me down, because
There's
I
less
felt
resentment.
for a long time that I could have been more and she was slowing me down, and if I had a better partner I could have done more and that kind of thing, and she felt like I was slowing her down because if I had just done the right thing,
engineering job.
you know. And so when you take away that, it becomes a low stakes game, and co-parenting can be a real joy, and I think that for us it is, you know. And our kids see that friendship and see that, you know, these guys are actually just happy separate. And when we're with dad, we're like really good friends with him, and you know, and when we're with mom, and no one bad talks anyone and that kind of thing. There've been times where I've heard a thing that she said to my kids, and you know, I have the freedom to call her and say, hey, listen, Kyle said this, like, where did he get that? You know, I'm not going to call and say, what are you telling my children? You know, I'm going to be like, I just need clarity, because in my world, there's no way he could have said that unless you had said something. Right. And I give her an opportunity to say, hey, okay, yeah, actually, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. I'm going to fix it, you know? And there's that sort of rapport. And I think that is sort of the way that we have been spared by, I think, purely by the grace of God. Because my parents couldn't co-parent me. You know, they were trying to kill each other every time. one had to take me to the other and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think the missing link is that that maturity, you know, to say she's not the enemy. I had a role to play in the breakdown of that relationship. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was gonna go,
Accountability,
actually.
yeah.
I was actually going to say the significance of just how I'm hearing everything is if the roles were changed and we actually got Karen to come in and tell her side of the story, we would be able to actually understand it the same way we've understood yours. Because different perspectives don't necessarily mean that you're fighting and it's not working and you know, like you can tell that there were conversations that were not had and there were perspectives that were completely different because of your background and your upbringing, and there's so many points where you can tell that she was actually coming from a very stable family, so she saw marriage a
That's
certain
what
way.
she-
Oscar was coming from this kind of place, but then the thing is Oscar also had a taste of entrepreneurship and realized that he would love to be creative in the work he does, and he was actually doing well at it, but she had this picture of why can't you get an engineering job and make a lot of money and then we're all comfortable, you know? And it's almost like a clash of love languages. You're both looking for love, but someone else is speaking Spanish and you're speaking like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
German.
Yeah. And all you
And
need is
you're-
an interpreter.
Yeah, and you're trying to get to each other. It means that at some point, if the work was done to open your eyes and see what matters to her and and her see what matters to you,
That
Yeah.
it
appreciation.
could have
yeah.
been something that could have been salvaged, because
Yeah.
then you'd be able to know
You'd
that,
have met halfway.
oh, we
you
could
know?
actually make each other happy if
Yeah.
I can give her this or if she can give me that.
Yeah.
And if those compromises could have been made, it could have been a different story.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a thing that we also don't get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like of course we're gonna have disagreements, and you're not gonna like everybody. You know, there's nothing perfect.
Yeah.
There's no one perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of work that we don't do in terms of being able to understand ourselves and then being able to
our
communicate that
partners.
to somebody else.
Yeah.
I feel like just those two things are the most underrated conversations that people have, whether it's business or it's relationships or it's friendships.
And
Just
that's
knowing
skill.
yourself, knowing your weaknesses. Like I don't know enough people who will tell me their weaknesses up front and
weaknesses.
say, you know what, my
This is where
problem
I fall
is
short.
these, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just struggle with these. You
Yeah.
know?
It's
And
good.
then be able to say that those are my problems, because it's one thing to know them,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually admit them and say
And
them.
do
And I feel like
work.
that level of maturity is very rare.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
I mean, if
Yeah,
I
it
were
is.
to, I think if Karen were married to the me that I am now, she would have a much better time as a wife.
Things would have gone a lot
You know,
differently.
and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Marriage should be two people who are whole coming together.
100%.
I was trying to discover myself
Yes.
throughout the marriage,
Right.
and so was she, right? I mean, her role wasn't as fluid as mine in terms of self-discovery,
Yeah.
because she settled very quickly into, I have a job, I'm a mom,
Yeah.
and I'm a wife,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She generally isn't like this wild dreamer. She's very comfortable with that picture,
Okay.
because that's what she grew up seeing. That's what she knows life to be, right? I want to open a branch in New York, you know,
Yeah.
and I will do whatever it takes to get there,
Get there.
right? And so someone who feels like that's a pipe dream is going to injure me.
Yeah.
And I took it very personally a lot of the times, and I never saw it from her perspective. You know, I just felt like, what is wrong with you? Why would you say that? Why are you so bent on shooting down my dreams?
And so, and what's interesting is that you felt like she was shooting down your dreams, and she had the dream of the engineer who gets a job and gives us a
Yes.
stable life. So
Yeah.
you are shooting down her,
Her
dreams.
dreams, exactly.
And
Yeah.
because you've approached her with, why are you shooting down my dreams? She feels like, I just need to, if he feels like I'm shooting, then I need to shoot back.
Then I'll shoot
Mm-hmm.
back.
Because
That's it.
every human being's also got self-preservation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, you know, for me this was very interesting to get into, because it just goes back to that same place where you realize how much of truth within yourself you don't know. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the things that are within you that you don't know and you're not honest about. And being able to find people that you are comfortable with to actually start learning to speak about those is also like for me like a big thing. And I feel like we definitely need to have a whole lot more of self-awareness. So guys, please, thank you so much for sticking around. If you've watched up until now, no, I'm not closing it off. Please let us know.
Prayer.
Let us know what your thoughts are so far and what you guys think. I mean, I think this is we really went deep on this one, so we really lost track of time. Like and I feel like it's gonna help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's what we really hope for when we do this show. You know,
We just appreciate Oscar for the honesty.
absolutely. Yes.
It's
Yes,
amazing,
yes,
man.
absolutely.
It's amazing.
It's like a tenth
got a
of the
question
story,
for
but
you.
yes.
Just one question though. Had you been open enough, the both of you, to see a counselor?
But we did.
But in this instance, I'm talking about because you did mention that people should see divorce as the last option altogether. So I guess what I'm trying to affirm or to get a second opinion from you is, had you seen a counselor who would have helped each of you discover yourselves, and then ultimately, put you in one room, and then have you express what you need from her as your wife, and then her vice versa. Do you think that would have helped salvage your marriage?
I think that is what helped us get to 8 years,
Okay.
because we did have that.
Okay.
I think apart from that, we would have like been done in 3,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I think the thing with counseling is the quality of counseling must align with the quality of the one being counseled.
Okay.
So you can have good seed, but if it's falling on hard ground, it's not going to yield anything, right? So, I come from a farming background, and, the timing of your fertilizer, the timing of your irrigation has a huge effect on, and knock-on effect on your yield 6 months later, right? 3 months later or whatever. And timing is everything. You could have a conversation with me before I'm ready to hear some things, and I won't hear you. And then prayer will say exactly what you said to me 6 months later. And I'll be like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Right? I'm just ready. I'm open to it. I'm mature enough to receive it at that point. So I actually think we did get counseling, because at some point we decided church counseling isn't working.
Yeah.
Because they have their whole, theories and whatever, and the angle they're coming from is not going to help us. So we got Christian counseling, but from actual professional counselors, not just like a pastor. I think that's a very big flaw in African society, where pastors are automatically counselors,
Yeah.
but they're not trained.
Yeah, and some of them don't like
all-
people.
Yeah, actually,
Like
that's
some of them
true.
don't like I remember my
Or
wife
don't
and I
have
going,
life experience
You
enough.
had like a traumatic
My
experience.
wife and I went to one marriage counseling session, bro. And this was like within the church that we were going to. And guys, we get there, we've scheduled the appointment. All the 4 of us know that this is happening and where it's happening and at what time. We get there and the husband is like, you guys can take a seat. Can I get you anything? Pastor, the wife, she says, she's really not a morning person. So,
Wow.
and then she comes and she's like almost still in her morning gown and stuff. And she says, I don't know why my husband agreed to this time, because I'm really not a morning person,
Wow.
Jeez.
I could have just walked out.
Yeah.
Like, I was so pissed. And she has the audacity to actually tell people, because
I'm the one that cancelled them.
musician,
I'm
right? Because I'm
cancelled
a
them,
musician
yeah.
and I'm a little popular in some circles. Whenever someone says, Prayer Soul, he's like, yes, we
I
cancelled
cancelled
them.
Yeah.
I cancelled him and his wife, and I'm just like, you need to stop saying that, bro. Like, I can't wait to meet this woman so I can tell her to stop saying.
Yeah, for
And
real.
if she's watching or somebody knows who she is, please show her this video and tell her I would love to say this face to face. Stop
Sugar
saying
Pan-
that.
Prayer. I think
No,
this is
bro,
the.
like-
I think this is the part where Oscar says, "Prayer, I think
Yeah,
you're
this
being
is
a little
where
bit
I
too
calm him
much."
down.
Yeah,
Self-awareness.
Yes, and I'm very self-aware. Like, I know this is a touchy subject for me, but I mean, I think that's a very big point that Oscar brought up, where you need to be careful of who you're telling your vulnerable issues to as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be able to say we want to work on this, and I feel like that's a big step when a couple decides they want to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they need to go to people who've probably gone through something similar, and then they are also willing, and they've learned how to teach people
Yeah.
to work on themselves. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not enough, because I mean, like, imagine I just told you guys my story about the pastor who then just ambushes me and then throws me in front of the church and says, "Tell everybody you had sex and someone was trying to pin a pregnancy on you." Right? And then that same guy is supposed to help me work on my marriage. Psst, come on.
Never.
It's not gonna happen.
Never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes people don't know what tone to use. You need to be able to read people. You need to be able to look at someone and realize that they're still too angry at their partner to try and
them to go
understand
into
what their
this.
partner needs.
Yes.
So, because this one seems like they are more angry than this one, let's start with her and make sure she feels heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that kind of
That's the skill.
is someone that it has to be a professional. It has
Yeah.
to be
Has
somebody.
to, it
Yeah,
has to.
and I think
Yeah.
that we should definitely normalize those things and not just assume that, just
Because you
folk
can
just
preach.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you
Yeah.
can preach. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's why I said some of them don't even like people.
or you've been in a marriage. That doesn't make sense.
I actually think that particularly, I think you learn more from entrepreneurs who've failed and who have
100%.
failed a lot
Yeah.
than you do from a guy who got it right the first time,
time.
and now is a millionaire.
Yeah.
And some people really haven't struggled as much as others in marriage.
because they've never sailed through the storm.
Yeah, but unfortunately, what we do is we take those ones
As the-
and we're like, wow, we want what they have. Maybe they should tell us what time it is, right? But no, actually, what you need if you're struggling with your partner and in marriage is a couple that has been through it
Yeah.
and have found a way out.
Yeah.
Not a couple
then
that's still
relatable, yeah.
bickering,
Yeah.
because I've also been counseled by people who started arguing during the counseling session, and you're actually like, do you guys maybe need some time?
I actually know of a twisted story of a couple that went for marriage counseling to another couple, and then the guy
Ended up counseling them.
Yeah, the guy who went for counseling with his wife ended up having an affair with
the
the
counselor.
woman.
Oh,
Who was, and they actually ended up having a thing.
Yeah. I mean,
So sometimes it's just the blind leading the blind, bro.
For sure.
Most times the blind leading the blind. And listen, guys, the conversation here is why are divorce rates so high?
Yeah.
And that's part of why. First of all, they're high because divorce is an option. It's like right there.
Yeah.
It's like multiple choice, A, B,
Yeah.
or C.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
just a big breakup now. It's
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
divorce.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like when, and this doesn't have to be like a global thing. It doesn't have to be like a social standard, because at the end of the day, marriage is between two people. But if I were to talk to a couple, I would say to them, between the two of you, do you agree? Are you willing to take divorce off the table? And if you're not, why not? What is it that you think that the option of walking away gives you? Because when you have that option, it's like jumping with a parachute or with a harness on. You won't jump as far as you could without one. It's just subconsciously, if you have a safety net, you're not going to apply yourself as much, right? So if you have that option in the back of your mind, and it occurs to you that you can leave at any point, are you really showing up the way that you should in that relationship? And I think that
should be, if we decide that we're gonna date, that should be the background behind dating as well, you know. And you know, people talk about dating to marry and that kind of thing.
Courtship.
Yeah, it's just fancy words that we
Yeah.
throw at it. But to be honest, where's the accountability in that setup? Because you know, accountability is really about saying, what am I required to do, and how far am I gonna go in terms of, you know, fulfilling that role. And it's work. And people don't want to work. They want easy relationship. They want love that gives to them, that makes them feel good, and that kind of thing. But before you get that, you've got to build it, bro. Like, you can't buy it off the shelf, you know?
Exactly.
It's like the online shopping.
Yeah, it's like how people don't have accountability partners even for when they're dating.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, Slim is dating, right? But no one's gonna come and just randomly check on Slim and say, "Are you keeping your girl happy, bro?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you doing the things that you promised her
Yeah,
to do? You know?
yeah.
There you go.
And
And
no
there's
one's,
never a time when I'm going to sit here and my girl's going to sit there.
Yeah.
And the
There's
third
someone
party
who's
is
like,
going to
"Guys,
say,
are you guys good?"
So is it okay? Are you guys
Yes.
okay?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are
And
your
another
needs?
thing,
Are you
yes.
addressing your needs?
And another thing
Yeah.
that I think people miss, and then eventually leads to things like divorces. We always feel like the counseling needs to happen when there's a problem.
When there's a
Yes.
Because we assume that when we're
Oof,
not fighting,
that's a big one in Africa.
We're
man.
okay.
When we're not fighting, then we're good.
problem. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah, it's
someone
something is
just- yeah,
something is
someone's-
leading up.
Something's brewing, or someone's just not saying, or someone doesn't even know how to communicate what they need from the partner.
It's like how we don't service cars, bro.
Exactly.
We take a car in when it's no longer starting,
about to-
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
we go to the hospital when we're sick.
When you're really
Yeah.
sick, yeah.
We don't have a culture of going for
Tino picked
checkups.
me up today because I didn't buy a fan belt. I was like, "Yo, Tino, my car broke down, bro. Like, get a fan belt."
Yeah, so I mean, I actually think what we're talking about here is actually not the divorce issue, but the social construct of the African
Yeah.
of African society. Like, what
It's
is
almost
it?
a preparation of yourself
Yeah.
for getting into a relationship with
That
somebody
commitment,
else.
any
Yeah.
commitment, actually.
Yeah.
Any commitment,
Yeah.
buying a car. We're talking about a car now. You know, our finances, planning for. You know, do you have savings?
Yeah.
Do you?
And also having expectations, being clear about them, and then being able to understand that someone else might have expectations that will put a whole lot more pressure than you thought on you. And being able to walk in there open-minded to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we build a picture for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we walk in for ourselves, and then we look out only for ourselves.
Yeah.
100%.
So when you sit down and say, "What happened?" You know, then
She-
you're
she
like,
didn't
"No,
do this for me."
she
was a
this,
mess."
she that, she
Yeah.
that,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
She
Because
didn't give
you're
me
just- It's always been your perspective,
Your
and I feel like
perspective.
that's where we then get it lost, because sometimes you're just not open-minded enough to understand that at some point you were also supposed to kind of compromise for them,
Yeah.
like how you wanted them to compromise for you. So,
So, you know, it really comes back to self-awareness. There's sometimes where your partner could even ask you, "Are you okay? You know, are you happy?" And you really look at yourself to think, "Okay, was I happy when when she said this to me, or when something was interpreted the wrong way, but I just let it slide?" You know, as men, also we've learnt that culture of
Avoiding conflict.
yes. I despise conflict with a passion.
right.
So but I've always been like that. I pick fights. There's certain things that I think to myself, you know what?
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I'd rather not. Let's move forward. But whatever is something I want to address, we'll address it head on and like that. But you know, coming back to what we were talking about, that some of these things brew. They're slowly brewing. Next thing to know is 56 years old, and you then saying, you know, for the past 20 years, this is what was
been
happening.
unhappy the whole time.
Yeah, because you keep doing this. And they're like,
Oh, yeah.
cool. This is like, no, well, I thought it was just something I dealt with, but I'm now realizing. But comes back to that self-awareness. And
Yeah, definitely.
Can I
it's
just
very
can I just
interesting.
tell you guys about dating after divorce?
Oh yes, that was
That,
actually
that was
on
the
the-
interesting part,
Yes,
though.
this
You know what?
this
I
was
think-
on the notes.
I think this is going to be like a part three.
Yeah,
part.
definitely.
This is a series, but it's
definitely.
amazing. It's amazing.
Guys,
It's
it is
amazing.
the pits, guys.
Why? I thought you were going to say, guys, the fun
is
I'm
fun.
having.
Are you serious, bro?
My God.
How is it the
bro.
pits those kid? I mean, like,
But
okay. Let me give you my perspective of when I hear about you, because I hear about Oscar's
All the-
dating stories, right?
yeah.
I'm always thinking, right? I've got responsibilities. I've got accountability. I have a partner. I've got kids, and they're at home right now. They're waiting for me, and then now, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I have time.
That's what I thought. You know, I thought it was
in
going
my
to be
head, I'm
something
like,
like
and
glamorous
now I'm
and
older,
glorious.
So, and do you know what I always think? I always think, now I'm older, so it means that if I was dating and I'm like 40, it means that I'm very sure of who I am and what I want and what I don't like. So I could just, get to know someone and very quickly. I'm
Yeah,
able
quickly
to-
you can say,
you
this
know.
is not for me.
Yeah, and I like to think I'm a good communicator, so I'll be able to say what I want to say, and if I don't want to say it, if I'm not happy with something, I'm just gonna be like. So in my head, I'm just like,
Should be good.
how is it
This
the pit?
should be
How is
heaven.
it the pit,
It should
bro?
be bliss.
And maybe also relate that to your first relationship after divorce as well,
Yeah. Ooh.
if you can.
This guy has a 25-year career. I think we should choose
Or
sections.
maybe let's
I
say
was saying, that's a quarter century. Silver Jubilee.
but maybe we can say
Yeah.
the first serious relationship. Of course,
Yeah.
you would have
No,
had
no, I think
those.
you can start with like just a general, like
Okay.
what
Okay.
what,
Okay.
what
The
dating
first
after
person
divorce
I
is.
dated
Is
after
it, is,
divorce.
is it the girl? The one?
No. No, I was done with her. She's got 5 kids now, and
Ish, okay.
I felt like she was just not.
Wow.
She's just not as hot as she was. That's like clearly, that's clearly what he's
Guys,
just saying.
that is the blunt side I told you about.
But it's
Remember
fine.
when
You
I said
just
this guy's
literally
blunt?
said-
You know what?
You hear that?
It's the truth.
Yo, it is, bro.
The first time I saw
gotta
her
say
after high school, and she just walked through, she just got out of the car and damn, she looked hot. And now
Now it's like, yeah, she should
Now
have-
it's she was not looking taking
was
care
not
of
taking
she was
care of
off.
herself.
No, guys, don't
Hey,
get
it's
me
too
wrong.
late.
like-
Hey, it's too late, bro.
no.
Dating after divorce.
Okay.
Let's start with that general picture.
The first person I dated after divorce, I met on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
You met on Twitter.
It
Yeah.
lists, it lists
I
as
liked-
Peter.
I liked her tweets, bro. I was just like, I was big on Twitter like in 2017, and I kept thinking, who is this person? Like,
Okay.
like I
Bro,
was
are
just
you kidding
fascinated
me?
by the way, the things that she would retweet, her comments on other tweets, and so I'm like, let me check out who this person is, right? So I check her out, and she's like, got locks. She's got a Ndebele name, and I have a belief about Ndebele women.
What is it?
I love they're just honest.
Okay.
I love their honesty. What you see is what you get.
It's actually the Ndebele culture.
Ndebele
Yeah.
people, yeah.
Because I was raised in Bulawayo, and I was raised like in a Ndebele kind of setup. My parents actually speak Ndebele, and we're very confrontational up front. This is what you
Yeah,
see
what you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's
and,
true with Prayer Soul.
Yeah.
And being a Shona man, okay, Manika, but we'll say Shona for the purposes
Come
of
on.
conversation. I actually feel like there's an aspect of Shona culture that is unuseful and unhealthy for functional relationships, where we are avoidant,
Yeah.
we are pretentious, and we are dishonest, really.
Yeah.
Because I may not like what Prayer's doing, and I will not call him out. As soon as he leaves, I will tell you guys about it. And that's Shona culture.
Very common, yeah.
It's like, can you believe
Hey,
what this guy did?
did you just hear what?
Can you believe?
And there's
Even the
there's
way he
always a
walked
lot
in.
of-
Did you see
yeah.
the way he walked in here?
Yeah,
Like he owns the room or something.
Yeah.
And that's how we are. But Ndebele people will say, "Yo, why are you walking in here like you own the room?"
No. The other people will say, "Sifuna ukujwayela kuphi?"
I
It
mean,
means you've
into
crossed the line
yenzayo
with
baba.
me. So it's not even
Into
about.
yenzayo, mina ngiyithandi.
it's not even about. I don't like. It's bro. You are like overstepping right
Yeah,
now.
man.
So we are talking about it as it's
As
happening
right now,
Right now.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
let's address this now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do
You
you know
see.
what? It's never from a place of malice. It's from a place of correction.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's always from a good place because you're not trying to just get into it. You're actually just calling them out because you think what they're doing right
And
now
then we move
is
on.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because in that same culture, you move on quickly.
Yeah, no
I
one
tell
takes it
you,
personally.
I tell you that I think this is offensive, and then you say, "Why is it offensive?" And I say this, and then if
And
you
you're
think
like,
that you're
"Ah,
wrong, you
okay,
say, "You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
what,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I overstepped,
Sure,
whatever,
sure,
whatever."
sure.
Apologize,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then, boom, we move on, and we could actually just continue. The two of us could continue and start talking about something else and move on.
Yeah. But
I also noticed this when I moved to a Mashona land kind of place.
Yeah.
you're just
Is
like,
when I was just like,
"Whoa, these
what
people
is
don't mean
going
what
on with people?
they don't say what they mean. They don't say
Yeah,
what they
I'm
mean
like,
what they say. Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
it that people
Yeah.
act like they are
Yeah.
liking you, and then you start hearing stories? I'm
Stories,
like,
yeah.
bro, were you talking to me? Were
yeah.
you talking about me to this guy? Like, why don't you talk to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I
I
confront
I
you,
could not get it.
if I confront you in Shona, I offend you.
It's disrespect.
Yes.
You see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's
funny
very
that
disrespectful.
in high school I had to do Shona for 2 years, and I learned Shona. Like I actually became really very good, and there was a statement that made me understand the entire Shona culture. It was a concept called Pamsasa Pamahacha, which means you don't go directly.
Yeah.
You-
Pamnondo pamsasa.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go from this tree, then you
say,
go to
then
that
you
tree.
go to
Almost
it,
like
yeah.
when you approach a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have to find a way.
Find a
around.
way to
Yeah.
come to the point.
And the first time I saw this as well was with the Manikas. It
Usuma.
it was someone explaining how if you want to tell your father that you
Bro,
want to get married,
in our culture,
you're gonna call
that's
your
too
brother.
far, dog. That's too far.
Yeah.
In our culture, right? If he's the oldest, and then comes Oskili,
Yeah.
then me, right? If I want to say something to Tina, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to tell him.
Yeah.
And then he has to tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if he wants to talk to me, right? Either he's just gonna shout it out,
Or
he's
he
gonna
relays
go
it
through
back
same-
down the chain.
Or he
Same
calls
way.
everybody and says,
Yeah.
I have heard
Right.
the request
And this is what I
from
want to
Slim.
tell.
And what I want
What?
to say
To
is,
Slim. He says it out,
Bro,
right?
when I
can't
then
you
he
just-
repeats it.
when
Yeah.
when I understood that, and I remember my dad actually saying, they had something similar. It was like when I wanted shoes, I went and told my brother, then my brother told my mother, then my mother told my dad. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
why are we playing broken telephone?
So when I saw her Ndebele name,
Right.
my radar went up. I was like,
Fantastic.
no
type.
wonder she's so engaging, right? So then I look at her picture. I'm like, okay.
Alright.
She's nice. So I DM her. I'm like, yo, my name's Oscar, blah, blah, blah. I really like your tweets. Your content is dope. You know, this is my story. And she responds, oh no, actually I said I want you to dress up so we can go out for dinner sometime. So I think she just thought it was a bit forward or whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, yo, bro, like, are you for real? But I mean, the fact that that's what you led with,
Yeah.
I'm going to take you on,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So when is this happening? I'm like, well, I'm in SA, but so she's like, I'm in Zim. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm coming, you know. So I think I landed on the 23rd of November, and I called her and I met her the day I arrived, you know.
Oscar's great with dates, bro. Like I can never figure out how he remembers all that.
Oh yeah,
I guess
so
it's the engineering mind.
it's numbers.
Numbers.
But yeah, we met, we clicked from the word go, and we just hit it off, man, you know. It was very
and when
different.
did you hit it?
It felt
I said, and when did you hit it?
that very day.
So how is this though, Pits though?
That very hour. And I mean, we got along so well until she left the country, went overseas,
That was it.
and I don't. Yeah, that was it. But for a long time, like we stayed in touch, and was
So
still.
at what point did this actually then become
Take a
Pits?
downturn.
Yeah, so why it's the pits is not necessarily the individual experiences of those relationships, but the fact that depending on the age of the woman that I meet, expectations management on my part
Right.
is a big deal. I literally have to map them out the first time I meet
Oh,
them
before you get into
to
it.
understand why they are doing this with me.
Okay.
And a lot of women, particularly
wow.
between sort of 25 and 35, want to settle down.
Definitely.
A lot of them don't have kids, right? Well, the ones I meet. And I start to sort of map them out, like subconsciously, to see what kind of parent they would make to my children, who I defend very, very
So
aggressively.
that's a part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you literally, whether you have kids or not, is I don't care. Like, I'm not big on, that's not a factor for me. Like, you know.
But it then becomes important because you have kids. So when you're dating, you're not just dating
For yourself.
for yourself
Exactly.
Yeah,
anymore.
dating for
Wow,
the
I
kids
didn't
interesting,
know.
yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting.
And also,
Yeah.
if they have kids, what is their parenting culture, right?
Yo,
Because I have a
okay.
very firm one.
You know what? It gives rise. We're probably gonna just mention it in this talk because
Yeah.
we had a list that we're gonna go through that says, you know, before you get married,
Right.
what do
yeah.
you look? What
Look for.
yeah? What aspects do you?
Yeah.
And parenting styles is one of them.
There you go.
Eh? Yeah.
And it's funny that you know it's almost like it sounds cooler when you're thinking about it's a conversation we need to have before we get married.
Yeah.
You know, like Slim and his girl are just you know watching a movie and they're like, yeah. So how do you think
How many
what kind
kids
of a
do you
parent
wanna
you're gonna
have?
be?
Yeah.
And then dating in Oscar's situation is how do you parent now?
Now,
Yeah.
yes, that's the
Because
difference.
now you know
Because
I
I
have
am a
kids and they've
parent,
grown up
yeah.
now, so it's
Yeah.
almost like it's a completely different vibe.
dynamic
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's a lot more complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll just run through a few interesting examples. I dated a girl. I met her. She was 20 when I met her, like 3 years ago. She's 23 now. We dated for 2 years. And I mean, as you can imagine, at 20,
Yeah.
I mean, she young, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yo, bro,
Still-
I mean,
She still wants to experience life. You
I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
bro.
Because I know I tried with a 21-year-old, right? And then
no. So
we went on dates. It was nice and all, but then the one time that we actually sat down and had a conversation, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
we are worlds apart. Like,
Come on,
here's,
Slim.
here's the interesting thing about this particular one.
Yeah.
She was mature for days, bro.
Okay.
Like, she is top 2 most mature women I've ever dated.
Wow.
And she was 20, 21. Her self-awareness, her clarity.
Bro, if your current girlfriend watches that and she figures you said top 2, if she's not,
Yeah, she's the other one. Yeah.
Of course, naturally.
I need to put money in for that one.
Bro, he just saved himself.
That's
bro.
why it's top 2, bro.
Just
That's why
saved
it's top
himself,
2.
Bro.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's that. Oh,
Okay,
yeah, that's
okay,
a good
okay,
one.
okay, okay.
Prayer, clearly you've been outside or you haven't been in the dating game for a while.
Of course.
Every time,
married,
exactly. Every time you're caught up in a situation
You have to
whereby you are asked certain questions about
current.
the girl that you're with and past relationships. It's always top 2.
He was dishing out the advice, bro.
No. It's standard, bro.
Yeah.
These are industry standards,
Makes
bro.
it industry standards. Okay.
So the thing with her was, I think that she appeals to me because of, like she looked like a clean slate, like a blank page.
Yeah.
I get you.
And I had just come from a series of relationships where I felt like I was dealing with people's
Issues.
drama and expectations based on what they've gone through with other men and that kind of thing, and having to prove that I'm different and like all of that mess. I was her first boyfriend,
Right.
and immediately I sort of felt like, but I was intrigued. I was just like, listen, I am a kind man. I am I'm a kind man. I am a reasonable man. I am a patient man, and I want a simple life. I can be to this girl what she needs. And I saw her potential, you know.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Just go ahead, bro.
So I saw her potential, you know, as a content creator, artist, actress, what, and there was something in me, I think, that missed my daughter because it was post COVID. It was COVID things, right? And I've been away from my daughter for like 6 years, bro. And I've been seeing her once in a while. Like, guys, like, we want to be honest, right?
Yeah.
No, let's be honest.
There's something about her that needed nurturing, that I longed to nurture.
Okay.
And I went in there with like some serious dad energy, like support system.
Oh, yeah.
What do you need?
She would obviously receive that
Like,
with
she
open arms.
sucked it in. Like, she was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I
Was
didn't
that all
know
she
men
sucked
could
in,
be
bro?
like this, and she needed that because of her upbringing, and the absence of that sort of fathering.
Okay.
So we came together, and that was like explosive, and it was fulfilling. But every single time that I started to think, can I take this to the next level?
Next level.
Versus where she was, I knew it couldn't happen. It couldn't happen even if I didn't have kids, because of the age I'm at.
difference, yeah.
So stage of life is a big deal,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
interesting.
That is
Wow,
so
I'm starting to see the pits now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting to
That
see
is
the
so true.
complexities
Right?
and how it's not so easy.
So stage of life is a big deal. So part of what fathers do, so I came up with dad energy. Part of what fathers do is they lay down the law.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot behave like that
yeah.
at around men.
Yeah.
You cannot wear that to that place. And it wasn't that sort of militant, but that's how it was received by her. She felt like, yo, bro,
Like, you're not the father of me.
am I free to express myself?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
She's
no.
also in that phase of finding myself.
Exactly.
Getting out into the
In
world.
the, this is the time when
And
she's
I wanna
supposed to be
feel
the most
sexy, and I wanna
expressive.
feel like people can see me.
There you
guys
go.
can see me.
Exactly.
And they want me, but they can't have me.
Yeah.
So I've gone, like, I'm 10 years ahead of
of
that.
that
And I'm
daddy.
like, I know how this plays out,
Yeah.
right? So I want to save you that whole journey. You don't have to experience it, through experience. Take it from me. And she like, no, bro.
I want to take it for
I
myself.
I wanna experience it
like he was
myself.
saying about
Yeah.
his parents. He rebelled against their advice to say, no, let me go through it myself, right?
Bella just spoke to them.
And it's right. She was right to want that for herself.
Yes, she was right
You
to
know?
want that for herself.
Yeah. And, at some point, I sort of started to feel like, what am I doing here? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
what am I actually getting from this thing, right?
Was that because you were already clear about the fact that you couldn't see this relationship going far?
I think it was
So
past the
in-
intrigue.
So initially, the
Yeah.
thing is this: you're like, I'm doing this just to do it.
Right.
I'm just dating to date, to experience this person.
Right.
But because there are fundamental and stability for not only myself but for my children as well, and stability for not only myself but for my children as well. That expectation from a woman does not go away, right? So whatever relationship I'm getting into, I will inadvertently weigh it based on those needs. right? They're not apparent on day one when you meet someone. And obviously you shouldn't lead with that. But when you start to look at someone, a potential partner, or, a girl that you're vibing with, very quickly you start to sort of weigh and test her on those metrics to say, how does she show up as a mom? How do I see this one operating as a mom?
Right.
Is it fair for me to put motherhood on this girl? From the word go, her first boyfriend,
Yeah.
and she's a stepmom.
And on that point, from your dating life after marriage, has there been someone that you've came to a point where you introduced them to the children?
That's exactly what my next question was.
That specific one. No one else.
Oh, all right.
And but I mean, she happened to be in the car, and I needed to go see the kids and that kind of thing. It wasn't planned. But I strictly do not introduce my children
But
to
would you
anybody.
would you still have introduced her to them, even if it wasn't for that situation?
No. Because I at some point knew that we were not going to go the distance because of different stages, life stages, right? And I, at some point felt like, I am in the way of this girl. I think that,
Her life is starting out, and she wants to.
yeah,
true. And that
she
feel like it's
deserves
blooming.
to go and experience the world, and not take my narrative of it, as her own. She needs to go and actually develop her own body of evidence, and body count.
But it brings that other dynamic. But it brings that other dynamic about generally women are said to lose their value with the more body count they have.
Yeah, right.
And the more they experience life as well, they become apparently a bit less attractive.
I think
To a man.
that's to weak men.
That's to weak men, to beta males.
I think only weak men think that way.
Only weak men think what, Oscar?
Think that women are less if they have higher body counts.
But the
Okay.
point that comes to that is
That's an interesting one.
because she's had, and we know sex to men and women is different. Right?
Different.
If a woman is opening herself up to someone, to a man, there's supposed to be some kind of emotional attachment there, right?
Supposed to be.
Ideally, generally, of course, we're generally speaking.
Why did you say that, Oscar? I'd like to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on it, because I mean I have conflicting thoughts as well.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think maybe because of doing like literature and whatever, I always have to look at both.
Yeah, because-
so I always want to know why people think what they think. Why would you say that?
But has AK finished expressing?
No. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think as he's going to answer that. So for a woman to be, to have sex, she needs to have that emotional attachment, basically, generally, right? And if she has sex with multiple men, doesn't she then also struggle to have only one emotional attachment? Because to men, you can have sex with the woman that you don't like. Right?
I can't.
You can't. With your wife, okay, maybe
You can't what?
was.
I cannot have sex with a woman I don't like.
Okay, maybe a woman that you do not
What if you find her
desire.
attractive, but you just don't like her? Like you don't like her
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
to want to date her, but you find her sexually attractive, and she finds you sexually attractive.
Exactly. She's just that hot chick in the club. She's loud. What you know, you will never be with a woman like that.
You've never
But
had a
you
whole
just-
phase.
That
In other words,
is a question you need to answer right now.
A phase where I was into hoes, or a phase where I was a hoe.
A
phase where you were a hoe.
100%.
That's a whole thing.
It's a phase.
Yes.
I thought we were all like that. All like that.
In the the reason why I'm bringing it up though, prayer, come back.
I didn't know it was a phase, bro.
No,
I just thought we were
you know-
made that way.
Yeah, bro.
do you know why I'm bringing that up? Because first of all, right,
Yeah.
your first sexual encounter led to you getting married, right? That's the first thing. And then secondly, you're saying that you can't have intercourse with a woman that you're not deeply in love with.
Yeah.
Quotes, right. Using those 2 points that you put across, it basically means that you've never been in a position where you know, just going
Had
at it.
random sex.
I wouldn't call it. It's not really random sex.
I-
For men, it's more of, I like how she looks. I wonder
Yeah.
how she tastes, kind of situation.
That's not me. So my whole phase is messy because it involved emotions, right? And it involved the promise of something deeper with these people.
Each
From-
time.
from-
And there was a
Is
level
this
of
from
friendship.
your side or from their side?
It's
the
the
promise?
it's the vibe I show up with, bro.
Oh, so you are promising this.
Not verbally
I'm gonna be
necessarily.
there.
Bro, I can summarize it for you. When Oscar meets a chick,
He wants to marry her.
no,
Oh.
but she will feel like
Ah.
she wants to marry him.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Yes.
brings his husband.
Someone
and-
actually said that
Yes.
at a games night
No, no,
at your
Skips,
house.
I've said that. I've actually said that to a friend who wanted to meet you, and I was like, I don't think you're ready to meet my friend because the thing is, he's not ready to get married. But when you meet him,
You
you're
assume.
gonna feel husband energy, and you're gonna want him. And he's not ready. He's my boy. I know him. So, are you sure you still want to meet him? And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
Cool.
all the best.
Bro,
Did they
really?
meet? Did they meet?
And she's not with him.
Right now.
Yes.
He's done and finished with her.
That's not what I'm saying.
The train
That's not
just.
what I'm saying.
The
But
slander.
what my point is I think everybody has to have
A whole face.
a whole face.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what,
I think it's a twisted. I think it's a
actually
twisted
think you're
idea.
going through your whole phase right now, but because you just naturally, you just want to love every woman that you meet. It's close to impossible for you to just have random sex. But the sex that you're having right now is very random, but you just don't know that is random because when you go in there, you have
have
this
that-
perception of thinking to yourself that no. I have to bring husband energy to this whole situation.
Well,
And
that's
yet,
how you
it's
naturally
just-
are, right?
No, it's not even. It's not even like mental like that. It's not conscious at that level.
Yeah.
So all the people that I have slept with, I was friends with.
Okay, question.
the
Did you have
emotional-
did you actually have plans for those people?
No, not necessarily.
That's the whole phase.
Yeah, no. I'm not denying the whole phase. I am saying that I am not. I don't get off of what a girl looks like.
You
Only
need that
like
you need that.
I want
be that
to know what she.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone that I've slept with, there's been like some kind of conversational exchange. You know, something
naturally,
something
I
I
mean,
admire about her.
Yeah.
And you'll actually find that because of that, I don't have a type. I think I've developed a spec lately, like in my sort of mid 30s. I started to feel like I like them this way, right? But I've dated tall women, large women. I've dated, short, stout, slim. I've dated all kinds of women. I've dated a woman in her 50s, when I was in my early 30s, and that kind of thing.
Yo, this guy's had a career, bro.
So
Soviet
it really
Union.
has to do with, and they don't fit a specific profile, like looks-wise, right? But it had to do with, like, we got along,
Yeah.
right? We got along and we ended up having sex.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got you. Yeah.
So the whole phase couldn't continue for long because, like, after a while, you've got all these people
Yeah.
who are still waiting for you to call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stop.
Hoping.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
It gets old.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gets old.
Yeah.
and then also I feel like
You feel
like
bad. Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, you've had it all. So
I'm done, and I feel like I'm in trouble as well, because now I've all these expectations that I've created out there, and I can't fulfill them. You know, and I don't want to fulfill them, and I don't want to be there where I'm wanted. I want to be here with this person here. So generally, when I'm with someone, I'm with them, right? And I pour myself into that relationship. In a few relationships, you know, I've sort of stepped out and, you know, dabbled, and but there has to be some kind of wear and tear on the relationship for me to start stepping out and that kind of thing. But generally, when I'm with you, you feel that I'm with you, you know, even if I'm not only with you.
The main event. I work hard, I'm blessed, let me vent. Greatness in my hands, got it by the neck. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take. Got no votes to make, we don't bet, we pray.